What's up, guys? This is Mike Conway with Smokin Barbecue, and today we're doing a big brisket on a little pellet smoker. We picked up this 13-pound brisket at the local H-E-B here in Texas. It is super trimmed. I've never worked with a pre-trimmed brisket before, so hopefully they did a bang-up job on it because that's what we paid for. Let's get ahead and get it opened up, check out the trimming, see if we need to clean anything up, and get her seasoned up and ready for the pit. Package opened up, see what we are working with. Honestly, doesn't look like they did much on the fat side. I'd rather be the one to trim these briskets anyways, but this is all they had. They had nothing hadn't already been trimmed. It looks like they already took some of this decal out or most of it out. All right, so we definitely have some cleaning up to do. I am not overly aggressive when it comes to this. I just like to get the loose stuff taken care of. I was a little bummed when I got to the store and realized all they had was pre-super trimmed at that. Briskets. This one doesn't look bad. When they said super trim, I expected it to be a lot more aggressive. Don't worry, all the stuff that I am taking off is going to be used. So I am not worried too much about it. Try to use everything we can. We're going to take this fat too and render it down into some delicious tallow, which we'll actually use when it comes to wrapping. Make that cut right there because I can see how thick that fat actually runs. You can see over here, the flat is exposed. So rather than leaving it and having it burn up, I'm going to take it off. I'd rather use it as a burger grind than have it burn up. I can see there, that's not very thick, so I don't want to go any lower. But right here, we can definitely take a little bit more off. Now we are going on a very small pellet grill. We're actually using today our Grilla Grills Chimp. As you can probably tell, I'm camping here in Fort Worth, Texas. And I have my camping pellet grill, and I've been wanting to do a brisket, and I've never done one on this grill. Check this one more time. The only thing I'm a little bit worried about is right here. This spot here will cause some pooling. So we're gonna have to round that out a little bit. Let me tell you what, I could be here all day picking this thing apart. Again, we're gonna go fat side down on this brisket, which I don't typically do, but it's a small smoker. The heat source is very close to the bottom. All right, now it's time to get her seasoned up. First thing we're gonna do is go down with a little 16 mesh black pepper, that Texas style flavor. You wanna hit it from a high up distance. You do not want to season down here. It'll get blotchy. You'll have areas that are missed, and you do not want that. Next, we're going with Blues Hog Bold and Beefy. Same thing. Want to hit it nice and high. We can go heavier with this one. Hit our sides. Now I'm so used to doing fat side up, I always do this last because this is usually a presentation side. Big piece of meat, but don't be afraid to get some season on there. There's very, very, very little sugar in this Blue Hogs, so we don't have to worry about anything burning, but it does help caramelize with that crust, make that bark exactly the way we want it. All right, we're all seasoned up. We're not gonna put this on until tonight, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this back in the fridge, and then at some point in the middle of the night, we're gonna fire up this smoker and we'll let it run because we need to have this ready for tomorrow night. That's a simple trim. All right, we're gonna get our Grilla Grills Chimp fired up for this brisket smoke tonight. Like I said, guys, big brisket, small cooker tonight. This thing's only got 340 square inches of cooking space on the lower grate, and we're gonna use up most of that. But we are gonna go ahead and use some Smokin Pecan pellets. These are 100% natural pecan shells that are condensed into pellets. And I just had to find out for myself if these things lived up to the hype. I've already went through a 20-pound box doing some other cooks, and I've been just super impressed with the flavor and the smoke output, the whole bit. So this is my first time doing a brisket with these Smokin Pecan pellet shells, and I'm excited. So let's go ahead and get that hopper filled up, and let's get the smoker turned on and ready to go. All right, guys, so we got our Grilla Grills Chimp fired up. We got our big brisket put onto our little pellet smoker, and we are rocking 180 to 200 degrees on this thing for the first few hours. I'll get up in a few hours, bump this up to about 225, let it go for a few more hours, and then I'm gonna bump it up to 250 degrees, where we're just gonna let it rock until she's finished up and ready to pull. So I'll bring you back in the morning. All right, guys, so it is the next morning. It's 9:30. This brisket's been on for about 11 hours. Bark looks fantastic. It's time to pull it off, get it wrapped, get it back on so we can finish this up. So let's go ahead and pull it off the pit. Let's go ahead and take a look and see where we're probing at. About 183, 184 in the point, 181, 182. That bark is looking great. That color is looking awesome. Go ahead and get this thing pulled off and get it wrapped. She looks real good. We're going to just spritz the paper a little bit. It's just going to help us make it a little bit more pliable when we go ahead and get this wrapped up. Pull these probes out. So what we are going to do, I don't have any tallow, so I'm just going to lay down some of this broth. This is actually beef consommé. Take some of this butter, just like that. And that is going to be how this gets wrapped. Get those corners stuck back in. Okay, we got that wrapped nice and tight in that paper, but we're not done yet. And we're gonna foil boat around the paper. This is my go-to method for wrapping my briskets. I love doing it this way. So we're gonna go ahead and get our probe back in. Just like that, back on the pit she goes. All right, guys, my ThermalWorks RFX wireless probes are telling me this thing is done. So now we're gonna check for probe tenderness. We're getting like 207 in the flat, 208, definitely tender there. 205 in the point. I think we're gonna actually let this go just a little bit. I felt a little bit of resistance over here, so we're gonna let this go for just a little bit longer and check on it here in just a bit. All right, guys, so it's been another 15 minutes. I am happy with the probe tenderness of the flat now, so we're gonna go ahead and pull this brisket out. We're gonna set it over here on the table, and we're gonna let it just sit for 15 or 20 minutes outside, let that temp come down or at least stop cooking for a little bit. Then we're gonna put it into our resting blanket and then drop it into our cooler where we'll rest it until it's time to slice up for dinner tonight. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. This brisket's been sitting here. It has stopped rising in temp, which means it's no longer cooking. So now we are gonna go ahead and get this put inside our resting blanket here. Still extremely hot, just like that. Get her all closed up. Now we're gonna drop her in our cooler. Since she's in a resting blanket, I'm not putting a towel or anything in here. If I didn't have the blanket, I would add a towel around as well just to keep moisture out. But we're gonna leave her just like that until it's time to slice. Probably gonna rest this thing about 6 hours in the cooler like that. All right guys, so our brisket's been resting for about 7 hours. It's time to go ahead and get it out of the resting blanket, slice into it, and see how we did. Get these probes removed. On my ThermalWorks app, it shows that the brisket's still around the 150 to 152 degrees internal. So she's hot still. I'm gonna save some of that. Look at that. Like I said before, I don't typically do meat side up, but let me just tell you what. For a meat side up brisket, she looks pretty good. All right, we're gonna save this juice, pour it over the slices when we're done. Remember guys, this was done on a portable camp smoker, the Grilla Grills Chimp. Let's go ahead and get one of these center slices so we can really see how we did. A little thick on that slice, but should be all right. Got our bend test. Pulls apart like butter. Say we did pretty good there. Get the rest of this cut up here. A couple of these ended up being a little thicker than I wanted. All right, let's take a look at this point. That fat is clearly rendered nice. The fat cap, which is on the bottom, completely rendered out. Good smoke ring. I'd call that a success. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and get the rest of this sliced up and get it put in our pan and ready for dinner. All right, this cook is done and it's time for a quick recap. We started with a 14-pound HEB brisket that we seasoned heavy with 16 mesh black pepper, and we topped it with our Blues Hog Bold Beefy seasoning. Now after a quick 4-hour nap in the fridge just to let that salt activate, it hit the Grilla Grills Chimp at just 200 degrees. But after 2 hours, we did bump that temp up to 225 with a quick spritz, and we added a small water pan just to keep things moist. Since the brisket sat so close to that drip pan in the little smoker, we did run it fat side down just so we had that extra protection just like we do in our drum smokers. At 185 degrees internal, the bark was looking perfect, so we did go ahead and wrap it up in butcher paper, and we foil boated that, which allowed us to cruise straight to the finish line with a total cook time right at 10 hours. And we threw it in for a rest with our resting blanket and in our cooler, and this brisket sliced like butter. It was juicy, killer smoke ring, and it passed the bend and pull test with ease. This cook's 100% proof that you can smoke a big brisket on a small pellet cooker. So hey guys, if you enjoyed this cook, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our other videos. And of course, as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys.